I find my opinion of Hammerwatch 2 to be very conflicted because on one hand, I can easily recommend this game to anyone who enjoys dungeon crawlers. The pixel art is stupendous, the amount of depth to the classes and all of the different builds is insane, and the main campaign can take you about 20 hours to complete. But the game also supports mods right out of the gate, and players can make their own custom maps, which could end up equally taking 20 hours to complete. I think that the main campaign is already strong enough to show the true potential of what this game can be if a modder actually gives it the amount of time and care that it needs. And let's not forget the most important thing, that this game has online multiplayer. Max players is going to end up being 4 by default, but mods can easily end up unrestricting this number. However, on the other side of the spectrum, I've had nothing but issues with this game that have constantly been at odds with me and my enjoyment of it. Just to name a few, your save file is actually tied to the host's world. So if I host a world and my friend joins me, then that character that they've created is on my hard drive and is in that specific world. The reason I'm pointing this out is because I believe games like Terraria and Core Keeper kind of set a standard for these types of games where your character save is separate from the world save. This would allow me to grind my character in my leisure time and join my friend at any time in his adventure, maybe even start a new world with my existing character so I could feel really powerful. But unfortunately, once you've created a save file, you better stay committed because you are stuck in that world with that character, whether you like it or not. The thing is, it can take a couple hours to get the hang of the game and the hang of the character, especially because so many of the abilities are going to be locked behind increasing your character's mastery at certain NPCs and at certain intervals in the game. So you might get a couple hours in and then realize you don't like the class, and the only way that you can swap classes is by creating a new world from the very beginning. On top of that, this game did not come out with shared loot. I don't know why instanced loot was just not a thing. It was basically first come, first serve. The devs have rectified that and added that into the game as a vanilla option. So that's cool, but there is no fast traveling. And when you die in this game, it'll actually take a percentage of your gold, which means that the further you get in the game, the more punished you are for death. Mods fix both fast traveling and gold loss on death, but unfortunately, in my experience with the game, this is kind of what happened. So me and my friend are playing through this game. We get about 5 hours into our main file, and then we just realize we're not having fun. Just when we're about to quit, we realized that the Steam Workshop had a bunch of mods that fixed all of the issues that were keeping us from having a good time. One problem, we had to start our file from the very beginning again. Okay, whatever, we do. We take the opportunity to play on some new classes and we have a blast. We get about 3 hours into this save file, speed running our way back to where we were on our first save, and then the game suddenly crashes. Now, unfortunately, at that moment in time, we couldn't reload our file with the mods that we had on it. This issue was resolved, but it only worked on new save files. It didn't retroactively work on old saves. So we were hit with a very tough decision. Do we start from the very beginning for a third time just so that we can consistently use the mods and save and quit anytime we want? We stopped playing for a couple days and then we came back to it and we did just that because this game is that good. For 20 bucks, you are getting your money's worth out of it. Aside from my one core issue with the game, that your character save and world save should be separate. I know the reason why the developers decided against this is because of the fact that there are custom scenarios and adventures, but the problem is that because your character save is tied to the world save, there's not really any incentive to replay through the game with another class. If you want to experiment, you're looking at another 10 hours before you see a class's true potential. If this game was just some random couch co-op RPG, I could totally understand the odd design choices, but there isn't local play with this game. You can only play it online, so a lot of these issues are inexcusable. Despite me being so critical of these problems, Hammerwatch 2 is a masterpiece, which is why even despite my saltiness, I gotta give this game a 5 out of 5. Like, if there's one last thing that I can say to sell you guys on this game, I'll just say that despite Hammerwatch 2 being an indie game developed by a handful of people, this is better than Diablo 4.